Hey guys, so join me as I build my first ever React project. So if you've been following this channel, you know mostly everything we do on this channel is related to the Python programming language. So therefore today we'll be diving into the world of JavaScript, and I'm going to build my first ever React project. This is going to be just a simple project that allows you to get a new fact about cats. Okay, so you have a button. Whenever you hit this button, it generates a new fact about cat for you. So let's get into it and let's see how you can build something like this using React. Alright, so first of all, I have a project folder here, which is an empty folder. What I'm going to do is to drag and drop this folder into VS Code. This will open my VS Code for me, and I'll just come up here, drag my terminal, and create a new React project. So I'll be using Vite to create my project, and to create this project, all you need to type is npm. Make sure you have Node installed. So npm create, then you just type Vite at latest. You hit enter on this, and this is going to take some time to create your project for you. First of all, what's the name we want to give to this project? I'm going to call this React project. You hit enter on this, and then the package name, I'll go with the one they've suggested, which is also React project. I'll hit enter on this as well. Now it comes to the framework. Which framework do I want to use? All right, so I want to use React, and I have to select the variant of React. We have TypeScript plus SWC, but I am going to just use JavaScript, so React JS. All right, now I've created a project. The next thing I have to do is to follow this particular step I've given here. So first of all, they said I should cd, which is change directory, into my React project. So I just copy this and paste here. After that, I need to install some packages. So to install the packages, all I need to do is to type npm install and hit enter on this, and this is going to install all the packages I need to make this project. Alrighty, so let's wait for this. Alrighty, so as you can see now, the project has been created. So I'll just continue and now run the created React project. So I'll do npm run dev, okay, and when I hit enter, this will open on localhost at the port 5173. I'll click enter, and this will open this particular project for me. So I'll drag and drop this and leave this particular one, and here is our project. So when you create a new React project, this is what you get: Vite plus React, and you have a button here. When you press, there is a count up and so on. So this is what React presented as with. What I'll do here is to do some Windows management, where I'll have my IDE here and also have my browser window here. So yeah, I'll just do this so that we can visualize whatever we are building. That is fine. All right, so I open this project folder, and inside here there are a lot of things which I'm not going to take you through the project structure, but what we'll do is to come into this source and then create a new component where we'll build our project. But let me just take you through. We have app.css, which is the CSS rating for this particular one, so we will not need this, so you can just clear all of this. I'll save, and you can see with the CSS gone now, you see how our new project looks like. We'll also open index.css, where we'll be writing our very own CSS, and also get rid of it. And when we save it, now we are left with this skeleton here. And the main file in which you find your code is the app.js. So here is where we have our code. So this is the code rendering on the web right now, and all I'll do is to get rid of most of the things here, because we are going to build our own project from scratch. So I'll just get rid of all these imports here because we don't need them. Or let me see, which one do we need? Okay, we will need maybe app.css, so I'll just get rid of the rest of them. And also here I'll get rid of all these divs, and I'll just leave this like this. So when I run this now, you can see we have nothing. So let's go ahead and now code in our own project. So first of all, I'll code my project in a separate file, and I'll export that file here. So what I'll do here is to click on source and create new file, and I'll call this my project, right? Let me just call it my project .jxs. So yeah, that's the extension. And yeah, so now let's get into creating our project. To create this project, there are some couple of things we import, but first of all, let's just define our function. So let's call this function, and I'll call this component my project. and that's it. So this is it. At the end we'll export this function. So let's just export default and the name of our function, which is my project. Yeah, so we'll export this function just as this, and inside this function I'll return something so that we can visualize something. So first let's design our front end where we'll be putting in the data. So inside here what I'll do is to immediately return, if I could type return correctly, and what I'm going to return here is to return a div which stands for division, and inside this division we'll have some couple of things. So we are going to design our card, so it's going to be like a card which have an image, a button, and a title. So first of all we'll have an image, so let me put the image here, and for now we'll have nothing here, but I'll just put images of a card or an image of a card. From the image we'll have a title for all our facts about cards. So for title I'll just use h1, and I'll call these facts about cats. Yeah, so I'll just put this one here, and now we'll have a paragraph element which will display the facts. So okay, so since we are not having any data yet, I'll just put here that cats are very good. So I'll put this right here, and the last thing we'll have is a button. So let's put a button here, and the button will just have something we call next fat. So when you click it you get the next fat. Alright, so since we've designed this and we can't see anything yet, so what I'll do is to come to my app.jhs, and then I'll quickly put that here. Okay, so to put that here I need this less than and forward slash and greater than, and here I just have to type the name of what I want to put here. So the name is my project, hit enter, and this will import it. So first of all you have to import it, but I've just learned this hack that once you just type it here it will import it automatically. So now when I save this you can see this is what we have designed, right? This is exactly what we have designed. Now we need an image as a placeholder here. So first of all I'll go to the net and search for images of cats, hit enter on this, and when I explore some of the images I'm going to choose maybe this. So let me try and save this as well. Okay, this is so let's just call it cats, and we'll save it into projects, React, our source folder, assets, and we'll just put it here. Alright, so since we have the image there, now let's make sure we display the image. And to display the image I'll come back to my project component and I have to import that image. So I will import, I'll call this cat image, and then I'll import this from my dot forward slash assets forward slash cat dot jpg if I'm right. And after importing it I have to just embed this in a JavaScript. So my image now is equal to the cat image I've imported, and when I click save on this you can see this is showing the image, but the image is quite very big. So what I'll do, I'll later style this, but I can pass in a width here of maybe 200 pixels, or let me just put 200. I don't think the pixel matters. Okay, and we can see the image now very small here. Yeah, so this is looking good, but first of all before we continue this, let's style all of this to make this particular card looks good before we fetch our data from API and display it. So what I'll do here is to give this class name so that I can later style this in the index.css. So I'll just give this one class name of card, right? Let me just call it card, and here I'll come here, I'll call this the class name, I'll give it card image. So card img. Here let's just call it a class name of card title. So card hyphen title. Then over here where we display this, let's just call this a class name of card fat. And finally the button will also have a class name of card button, just like this. And we'll save this. Now open our index.css where we have cleared a lot of things, and what we will do now is to start our styling process. So first of all let's style the card. So I'll just call it .card, and I'll open this, and now I'll start my styling process. All right, Okay, so first of all, I'll just give the border. I'll give this 1 pixel solid, and after this I can also specify the color. Let me just give it black, which I'll change, and you can see now we have the border right here. So you can see we already have something. Okay, I'll continue to give this margin of maybe 5 pixels. We are not going to do much with the styling. I'll give it padding as well, 5 pixels. Then what I'll do here is to also give it a box shadow, and I'll give each side about 5 pixels. And what I'll do is to also give it a color. So let me just type black, and over here what I'll do is to change this color. So you can see now it's looking like a card, but let's make it small by specifying the max width attribute to something like let's make it 260 pixels. Yeah, and this looks good. Let's align the text. Every text in this particular card should be center. So text align, let's just make it center, and you can see now everything aligns at the center. Okay, I'm going to just increase the margin to something like maybe 9. I think that would be good. And the padding as well, I'll increase it to 9 as well, so that will make a lot of room. Yeah, so now this looks very good for our card. So we'll continue to now go ahead and take the image and also how do we call it, style it. So we'll target the card image. So card, and then you can do card hyphen image, right? And you can go ahead and now style your image. So first of all, for the image, I want to make it round, so I can also specify the width of it to be maybe something like 50%, and I'll hit enter here. And what I'll do here is to come back to my project where I've specified the width and get rid of it. So I'll not need this again. So let me go back to my CSS. The width is 50%, and I'll give it a border radius of something like, how do we call it, let me just give it also a 50% border radius like this, so we get it round. The width, let's just give the width in pixels. So let me just give it maybe 90 pixels, so small. What about 130 pixels? I think this is looking great. So we have a cat standing looking at us. We have this. Now we said, okay, the image is looking great. Border radius is this. So I think with the image is looking great already. Maybe we can add some couple of margin to be something like 6 pixels to the image, which is very good. So now we'll move on to the card title. And if you remember, we call it card dot, now we have card hyphen title. And inside this title, what we are going to do is to change the font family for the text. So font family, let's just put this right here, and immediately you can see it has changed. So I think for that is very cool. What are some other things I'll change about this particular title? Maybe the font size. I can change the font size to something like large, and it looks very small, but I think it's good. All right, so from here I'll just copy this one and do the same thing or modify it for that of our fat. So this is called card fat, right? So let's just do this, and for it we will not change the font, we'll leave the font as it is. So yeah, this is looking great already. Let's move on to our button and just call it card, and this is card hyphen button. Yeah, so now let's go ahead and do this button. First of all, I'll just remove the border, so border equals none, and this will get rid of the entire border. I'll give some padding, and the padding, let me just give something like 18 pixels. If it's too big, I'll reduce this 18 pixels by maybe 24 pixels. So let me save this, and this is looking great already. From here, what I'll do is to change the color. So the background color of this particular, I'll choose blue, and I'll try to maybe make it a little bit dim. something like this. The text color, let's change the text color to white. So color white. This will make the text visible a little bit, and I'll do the border radius for it to look good. Maybe let's put up 5 pixels here. So yeah, this has given us some good border radius. The font family of the text, let me also change that so that we can have something. And it seems this didn't work at all, so let me just get rid of it. All right, so something like this is now cool, but let's give some margin, and margin 5 pixels. Let me just increase the margin to something like 9 pixels. Yeah, so this is looking great. We have our card here, we have an image, and we have all this. So now let's add the functionality. So we are going to fetch data from API and then display that data here. So anytime you click next, you get a new fact about cats. All right, so let's continue in our my project or my project component, and all I'll do here is to get my URL where I'll be getting the data from. So let's say I have this particular site here, which is called free APIs, and here we have a lot of APIs you can use, but we have one which we'll be using, which is cat facts. So I'll copy this particular one. Let me get back, and I'll copy the URL here. I'll come back here, and what I'll call it is define a constant. So const endpoint is equal to this particular URL. So yeah, that's all. So once we have it here, we can continue and get the data from this particular endpoint. All right, there are some couple of things I'll also use from React, which is the useState and useEffect. We have useState and useEffect from React. This works great. So what we'll do now is that useState helps you to get a stateful variable, a variable that responds to changes, okay? And that's what we want. Anytime we have a new code, we want things to change. So what I'll do here is to have a const here, and I'll declare 2 variables. Okay, so I'll have my facts about cats, and I'll have set facts. Okay, so this how to use the use state, and this is equal to use state. And inside here you can give it an initial value. So initial value about whatever it should display from the starting or something like that. So I'll just leave it as an empty string. So we have fat and set fat. And from here, what I'll do is to come up with an arrow function that will get us the data about the fat of cat. So const, I'll call this get data, and this will be equal to an arrow function here. And what this arrow function will do is to try and fetch the data, but we'll be using this should be an asynchronous function. So we call this async this, and then here I will just try, and over here I'll define a constant called response, and this response is equal to fetch, but we have to make sure we await this particular fetch. So await fetch, and in this fetch I'm going to just provide an endpoint. Okay, so this will take an endpoint and try to fetch data from this particular endpoint. So if the data is available, and let's save it, let's call this data is equal to await, and then we are going to convert our response to JSON format. So we are awaiting our response. When we have it, we convert it to JSON format. All right, so now let's check if we have a data. So if we have any form of data, then that is cool. What we are going to do is to return this data into this set fat so that we can use it. So we can do set fat right here and give it our data.fat. So data it will return an object for us, okay? And in that object, data.fat is what actually holds the facts about cat. So I'm returning data.fat. Else, if things go wrong where we don't have data.fat, I will just write else here. What we'll do is to just write set facts, and we'll just put in some string here that error may be getting data. So yeah, this is just it. So error getting the data, that's all. All right, so now that we tried this, if we get it, it will be good. If we don't, then what we'll do is to catch some error. So we try and we can now try to catch. So catch, and whatever we are not getting anything right, we'll catch an error. So we'll catch error, and if we have some error, what we'll do is first console log this error. So we'll log the error, and we'll also go ahead to set fat to um, error making request to that particular endpoint. So something like this, error making request to the endpoint. So this is how we are trying to get the data. We try fetch the data, we get it, we convert it to JSON, and then we send it to this variable, which is a stateful variable. We can just get any data anytime the state changes. And if we don't get the data, we return error fetching data if we get it. Otherwise, if we are not able to make requests to the endpoint, then we just say, okay, we encounter this particular error trying to fetch the data. All right, right after this function, now we'll use the use effect. Okay, so use effect helps you to run a function. Okay, so like once we get into this site, use effect will run the function under the hood in order to fetch the data for us. So to use effect, we just write use effect, and inside here use effect takes a function. Okay, so it will take a function, and also it will take some other dependency array. Okay, so the dependency array, you can give it some couple of variables to track. When they change, anytime they change, it will run the function for you. So let's give use effect an arrow function right here, and I'll hit enter to bring this down. We are not going to be using the dependency array, but what use effect will be calling is our function called get data. So how did I spell it? Okay, this should be get data. Let's call it get data. And get data is not taking anything, we are just giving it the endpoint straight up. So get data should get us that particular data. Okay, so this is what use effect will do under the hood. All right, so inside here, what will be displaying here inside this cards are very good will instead be our data. So our data will be stored in fat. So I'll just put up this right here for it to display our fat. And from here, anytime we click this button, we want to show something. So the button has an attribute called on click. So anytime we click on this button, what we want to do is to run this function to fetch a new data for us. So when we click on the button, we don't want the button to actually click on its own or something, because if you don't add a function here, what will happen is that anytime you open randomly, the button will just be getting new fat. So let's add an arrow function right here before calling this function. So an arrow function, and the name of our function is get data. So yeah, we have get data here, and get data will just try to get our data for us and display it in this fat. So let me save this, and let's see what happens. I'll also open our inspect right here, open the console to see whatever our errors will be. Okay, so here we are calling get data. We should have this right here, which is a function. I'll refresh, and you can see here we go. So we have a cat back is extremely flexible because of that. When I hit this again, we get a new quote about cat. So Sir Isaac Newton is credited with creating the concept for the pet dog. So you can see this works great. Anytime you hit on this, it gives you a new fact about cat. So this is a simple project you can actually build using React, and this is how simple it is. So this is now a component we built, and one thing about React I love so much is that we can reuse this. Okay, so when we come here and we copy and paste this again, we'll have another card. So when I save this, you can see we have another card at the down, making things very looking very simple and very good. So it's reusable. And when I click this, you can see we have a new fat. Yeah, so guys, let me know what you think about this project. This is a very nice project you can build as a beginner, because first of all, it will help you to learn how to work with APIs in React, use useState and useEffect, and also how to style some couple of things in React. I didn't actually spend a lot of time styling this, but you could style this to look so good and also look great. But I think with this, is something good for educational purpose. Thanks for watching this tutorial. Leave some comments in the comment section for me. I'm not a master of React yet, but I just know the basics and the fundamentals. So don't go hard on me, guys. Don't actually go hard on me. This is my first try of making a video about React. If you like it, let me know so that I make more videos about React as well. Thanks for watching once again, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.